Hello everybody, another amazing day in the market today with Bitcoin breaking $121,000 and of course MSTR outperforming yet again. So today's performance for MSTR was 1.39 times the performance of Bitcoin. Of course, I use IBIT to compare it to MSTR because IBIT has the same market hours. Yesterday, the performance of MSTR was a little more than two times the performance of IBIT. So we are bouncing back. The mNAV is bouncing back. Strategy remains a leveraged Bitcoin play, contrary to what you were reading about 3 weeks ago in my comment section. Of course, this is a chart that I always show. The bears don't like this chart, and keep in mind the return right now are closer to 2,700% because we got 252. This only takes yesterday's close at 338. We were at 338 yesterday. We're at 352 right now. So total 5 years, a little more than 5 years. He adopted the Bitcoin strategy in August of 2020. Total return for MSTR have been just a tad shy of 90% ARR, average annual return each year for 5 years. That's 27 times your money. Of course, the bears don't like to look at this chart because it's, it doesn't go into the narrative of you should sell MSTR and do whatever, short it, or even worse, buy fiat. Some people say that. Can you believe it? Anyways, I'm definitely not selling my MSTR anytime soon, if ever, quite frankly. The plan is to borrow against it, of course, in the 2030s, maybe the 2040s. We'll see. The mNAV is rebounding. It's a visible fact that the mNAV is rebounding, and some of the shareholder base, frankly, some people get very angry at MSTR. It's time to grow up. When you look at the charts, you can see, now the performance rebounding, now MSTR outperforming again. You can see the thicker line here, of course, is the price of Bitcoin. The slimmer line here is the price of MSTR. You can see, of course, MSTR is rebounding right now. And so it's gotten periods where it traded at higher mNAV. Of course, November of last year was one such period. It's gonna maybe, we'll see. We don't really need it anymore because we have Stretch. I'll get to Stretch in a second. But in my view, the mNAV is going to expand to more normal levels, perhaps a 1.7, perhaps a 1.8, a level where the performance gets back on track, gets back in line with long-term performance of MSTR. But you know what? Even if you look at the past year, we still outperformed Bitcoin by 14, plus 99, so let's call it 15%. We still outperformed Bitcoin by 15%. So I'll definitely take it, especially as the mNAV is rebounding right now. mNAV still sitting at a 1.5 today per strategy.com. And this is, of course, strategytracker.com is the website. I hope that for October, as we call it, we're not going to create any more self-inflicted wounds. The shareholder base of MSTR, sometimes I feel, is new to investing. It's very fickle shareholder base. I hope we're not going to have people creating some far-fetched fantasies about us joining the S&P 500. I was very irritated at people doing that, and people were doing that for clicks. We'll be added to the S&P 500 when they really have no choice, to be honest. I mean, there's no way this is coming anytime soon. Still people hyping this up for clicks. Enough with a fake announcement from big X accounts, and they announce nothing, and then they get the clicks. Enough of that. Enough of the ATM FUD. Of course, the one type of FUD I've really been fighting on this channel is the common ATM FUD, and that too I feel is slightly going away. So if we don't have any of these FUD things or any of these hyped up expectations for nothing, in my view, we should have a beautiful October for strategy, and we should have a rebound in mNAV. I look forward to the month of October as some people still call it. Anyways, let's talk about the big news of the day. Of course, the stock, if you look at the stock today, it could have done a little common ATM because the chart resembles clearly the chart of IBIT, but IBIT was up slightly more towards the end of the day. MSTR was not. So it could have done some common ATM. I hope so. But I realize I'm one of the only ones who hopes that, so it doesn't really matter because there's a bigger news that's going on, which is the ATM on Stretch, the ATM on the preferred stock of STRC. STRC, of course, was the most successful preferred launched by Michael Saylor and the most successful IPO of 2025. And we had a major milestone today. Today, Stretch spent most of the day trading above $99. So that means that across most of the day, Saylor could technically have been ATMing on Stretch. I don't really know if he's waiting 100. It's possible he's waiting 100 for that. We'll see. But right now, we're at 99.34 in after hours. So that means that Stretch is ATMable. Of course, during market hours, but Stretch is ATMable right now. And all it took was an increase in 25 basis point in the interest rate and a little pop in Bitcoin, which increases the value of the collateral. And there you go. We are trading at 99. We've been waiting for this for, 5 weeks, 6 weeks we've been waiting for this. So today we celebrate. This is amazing news. He's able to ATM on that. We'll see on Monday if he did or not. I hope he did. Anyways, this is the final good news of the day. Robinhood enters the chat. Elite brokers remain elite. You know, I've always said if you don't have a modern broker a la Robinhood, you know, you're probably trailing behind. You need a modern broker. Robinhood, in my view, you know, as much as I hate the mobile interface, which still works much better than the web interface for them, Robinhood is in my view elite. They're getting a lot of new customers with their 2% match promos that they do periodically. Anyways, that stock's been doing very well, 145. It's not surprising because all of the assets under management at Robinhood are also growing exponentially. You know, they have an outsized proportion of people owning strategy on Robinhood, owning Tesla, owning that type of stock. And Robinhood did something very big today. And that was announced, by the way, by Strategy. The company Strategy announced that Stretch is now available to trade on Robinhood, which means that they must have been working behind the scenes, because I am not aware of a lot of preferreds that are on Robinhood. I'm really not aware. So they must have been working behind the scenes to get Stretch listed on Robinhood. This is a very big deal. This might actually partially be the reason as to why the stock traded past 100. Note that they have Strike and Strife also on there, but it's not available to trade, but it just showed up today. So my guess is that Strike and Strife are also going to be tradable on Robinhood maybe in the coming days. That would be my guess. But this is a very big news because a lot of people who own Bitcoin, a lot of people who own Strategy also have a Robinhood account, and they want to be able to buy it on a Robinhood account. How many times have I heard on this channel people complaining about MetaPlanet's $50 purchase fee and wanting MetaPlanet to trade on Robinhood? Well, Strategy did that with the preferred. It's a very big deal. People are already calling for arbitrage all over X. You see it all over X. Saylor tweeted, oh, you can earn 10.3% on Stretch, and Robinhood, of course, charging you 5.5%. Now, I would be very careful about that, because if you did that, you would be using margin that's created by other stocks. Because if you look at Stretch, they still have 100% maintenance ratio. Now, Strategy on Robinhood has a 25% maintenance ratio across the board for MSTR stock. So you know, it takes a while for Robinhood to lower that maintenance ratio. So eventually that arbitrage may be possible. I still feel like for now this is widely overstated for now, and you know, you'd have to pay taxes, so the tax would essentially reduce the arbitrage. But nonetheless, we see a lot of income investors getting very excited about Stretch being listed on Robinhood, and so am I, because that's gonna create a lot of new flows. You know, we have to wait. Also, and I was a little disappointed in Robinhood about that, but I understand they're focusing on profit. You know, remember rates dropped in September, but the 5.5% rate that Robinhood charges on margin did not drop. That's very unfortunate, because back in the day they were very quick to raise it, and they used to be very quick to drop it. It didn't drop this time. So I really hope there's a little competition coming where these rates drop on these brokers as interest rates drop. You know, it'd be really unfortunate if the Fed drops, you know, 100 basis point, for example, and we don't get Robinhood dropping to 4.5. So we need to watch that out and not fall asleep on that. But still, the arbitrage opportunity is there. 10.4% on Stretch, 5.5% The problem is that you'd have to use margin created by your other positions because the maintenance ratio, of course, on Stretch is too high at 100%. This is going to drop over time. It always has on Robinhood. It takes a while. It takes them 6 months to a year, but over time it drops. And so this is one of the most interesting instruments in the market right now. A 10% yield backed by Bitcoin, backed by a huge bag of Bitcoin that was mostly acquired through the common ATM. So that's a pretty big deal. I'm excited about that. Today was an amazing day. So no investment advice, no financial advice, just entertainment of this channel. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.